Alright guys, and welcome to today's video. This is a follow-up video to the one I released a few days ago where I was discussing what happens when you eat 2,000 calories a day. I'm pretty sure that one actually raised more questions and added more confusion to the mix. Mike, how am I supposed to eat more food and lose body fat? It doesn't make any sense. You're talking nonsense. Give me a minute, alright? I'm going to try and break it down as simply as I can in this video. And it's going to be a tough one because it's a complex topic. There's not one formula that works for everyone, okay? So there's a lot of ifs, buts, maybe, it depends. Now, first of all, if you're the type of person that is actually not training at all, you are wildly inconsistent, you're not paying any attention to the food you're eating and you're not tracking macros, get that sorted out first because, surprise, surprise, if you actually start doing that, you're gonna see progress. This video is dedicated to the people who are actually trying their best. They are tracking, they are consistent with their training, but they're kind of stuck in limbo and they're not making progress. And they are the type of people that aren't really eating enough. They're eating anywhere between 1,800 and 2,200 calories on the low end of the spectrum for males, okay? This is really a video dedicated to males and not females. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at what 2,000 calories is and how we can actually start eating more food. So here we go, this is 2,000 calories. Your first step, those people who are consuming 2,000 calories, is to optimize your macro split, your macro ratio, make sure you're eating enough protein, get the right balance of carbs and fats. Okay, it can vary depending upon your preferences and your body type. But we want to basically improve the quality of the nutrition, try and get as much unprocessed foods as possible and get lots of vegetables in there, okay? Lots of things which are grown from the ground. Plant-based protein, that's a personal preference because I don't tolerate dairy very well, okay? So there we go. Now, what our goal is going to be is obviously to increase the calories you're going to be consuming. Now, the mistake so many people make is to instantly think, right, okay, Mike said I need to eat more because on his previous video he said I'm not eating enough. So I'm going to suddenly just go up to 2,500 calories or maybe 3,000 calories because that's what a calculator said I should do online. Don't do the calculators online, highly unreliable, by the way. But don't want to go off at a tangent. So what we want to do, week by week, gradually build up the calorie intake, okay? So let's say, for example, this is week 0, this is what you've been consuming. If so, well done. Week 1, we're gonna go to 2,100 calories. So, let's add a little something to the mix, shall we? Let's add some more rice. Week 2, let's add another piece of fruit, an apple. Yeah, I know it's a small apple, but let's just imagine it's a big apple and it's around 100 calories. Nice, 2,200 calories. Week 3, let's add another 100 calories, shall we? Since our fat intake is a little bit low, we're gonna take away the cod, since the cod is very low in fat, and we're gonna add salmon. So the fat intake is gonna be increased a little bit. Some more sweet potato to the mix. Now at this point, week 4, week 5, this is really dependent upon how much weight you're gaining. If you're gaining weight very rapidly when you're doing this, it might be worthwhile just pausing at that specific calorie intake and just wait for the weight gain to slow down a little bit. For other people, the weight might not even change and they might even find out that, guess what, their appetite has massively gone through the roof. So it's time to add some more calories. This time, let's add some more oats. An extra 100 calories worth of oats into the mix. The following week, let's add some dried fruit. We've got some cranberries, dried goji berries, and raisins. Let's put that in the oat mix, shall we? Yes, very nice. And then the following week, let's add some more nuts, some more healthy fats. The following week after that, let's add some olive oil. A tablespoon of olive oil, around 100 calories, just more. And then the week after that, let's add another piece of fruit. Okay, you see what I'm doing here? Each week, we're gradually progressing up the calorie intake. Even here, we've got like nice seeds topping for the granola. Easy, bam. Now I want to make it clear the numbers I've used are just an example. You do not need to follow the exact numbers which I've used on a macro split. You first of all should set your protein intake, which should be 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight or 1 gram per pound of body weight. Then you set your carb and fat intake. What that is completely up to you, your preferences, and whatever you feel best doing, all right? There's no need to completely eliminate a macronutrient group. It just makes no sense to do that. Second of all, I would also recommend, you don't necessarily have to keep your macro intake exactly the same each day. There may be days where you eat a little bit more or eat a little bit less, okay? So just as long as the weekly average is on point, then that's all good. I'm sure you guys are gonna be eating out. You might go out for food, a restaurant, you won't be able to track, eat more than usual. Just bring the calories down a little bit the following 2 days afterwards, something like that. Just balance it out. What we want to try and do here when we're growing is to try and aim for weight gain no more than around 0.2 kilograms per week. If it's gonna be anything more than that, there's a high risk of you gaining a little bit too much fat in the process. So if we have a look at this 10-week period, if you've gained 2 kilograms, that's nice, that's good work. If you've gained more than this, 3 kilograms or 4 kilograms, then you've probably added quite a lot of body fat in the process, and that's the mistake a lot of people make. When they bulk, they gain too much fat, and then they end up looking at themselves like, what the hell, I look like an absolute potato, what is going on? And then you have to go through a pretty aggressive cut, or a long cut, which when you do that, you run the risk of losing size. You end up just going through this cycle where overall you don't really change much. So the gradual increase in calorie intake should lead to a gradual increase in weight gain of around 0.2 kilograms per week. Now, this is assuming that you guys are all doing this naturally, okay? If you're taking steroids, then it's more than likely gonna be the case that you will be able to put on a lot more weight, and that weight will come in the form of muscle, okay? So this is for the natural people out there. Second of all, genetics is gonna play a massive factor in this. Some people are gonna have a hard time building new muscle tissue compared to other people. Some people are just born for stacking on muscle, and they can gain weight quicker, they can gain muscle quicker. Other people, it's gonna be a little bit more tough. Don't worry if you're not necessarily gaining weight, okay? As long as your body composition is improving, that's the goal. That's what we're after here. We just want to see you, oh, you're looking more muscular, more toned, you're adding more size, and you're actually looking a little bit leaner. That's great. That's ideally what we want to go for. The thing that really annoys me is when people are obsessed about losing weight. Like, why do you want to lose weight? That's not the goal here. Why do you want to be a lighter version of yourself? Ideally, when you're cutting and you're improving your body composition, you want to try and be as heavy as you possibly can be, because the heavier you are, the more than likely it's going to be the case that your metabolism is pretty high. It does my head in when people are like, oh, you know what, I just want to go and lose a couple of kilograms. I want to be back down to 85 kilograms because that was my happy weight. I felt comfortable at that weight. No, you want to lose body fat. You don't want to lose weight, okay? So let me just get that off my chest because it does my head in. Now, if we go back to the whole process of eating more calories on a week-to-week basis, in order for this to work, you need to be stepping things up in terms of your training sessions, okay? Possibly the frequency, if you've only been training twice per week or not training at all. Increasing the weights you've been lifting, okay? If you can lift a heavier weight on squats for 10 reps, you're gonna burn more calories, right? Compared to if you were lifting less the previous week. And if you're doing this with a lot of your lifts, your compound lifts, lifting heavier weight, you're gonna be burning more calories. So you'll start to find, or you should hopefully try to achieve more calorie burn for each training session. Okay, not only will you be burning more calories in those training sessions, but because you'll be building more muscle tissue, your resting metabolic rate is going to increase as well. Now, obviously, you don't want to increase your calorie expenditure at the same rate of your calorie intake. That's if your goal is to gain weight. You need to be in some kind of a surplus if you want to gain weight. But if you just want to improve your body composition and get used to eating more food, you know, your weight could stay the same. You know, this is what I've found to be the case with many of my clients in the past. The moment they start eating more, they're lifting more in the gym, the performance is going up, the intensity is going up. And I'll also tell them as well, hey, look, you're working a very sedentary job. You know, you're not really moving much on a day-to-day basis. You wake up, drive to work, sit at work all day, drive back home, go to the gym, and then you're driving back again. So they basically are doing about 1,000 or 2,000 steps per day. If you say, for example, increase your daily step count by 5,000, okay, you're gonna be burning, let's say for example, an extra 200 calories per day. Okay, so if you're the type of person that wants to improve their metabolism and eat more and not gain weight, then you need to match the extra calories in by adding more calories out, by burning more calories. Now, when you are increasing your calorie intake, this really does need to be justified by stepping up the intensity. It doesn't have to be the case where you train more, it's just you need to train harder, you need to train smarter. Ideally, you need to overload the muscle, you need to give it enough reason to grow. Now, one of the basic principles of doing this is to lift more weight. But I don't recommend you do this if you haven't got your form sorted first of all. You know what I'm like with form. I want everyone to have near perfect form. The amount of people that are trying to do deadlifts with the most shocking technique and they end up injuring themselves is a joke, okay? So get your form fixed before you lift more weight. And there is more than one way to overload the muscle, okay? If you can actually apply more tension to the working muscle on a week-to-week basis, but the weight is the same, in my opinion, that is still overload, okay? That's still progress. Now, in order for this whole process to work, it goes without saying, you have to be consistent with it. You can't just decide to train for like a couple of weeks and then just stop. The amount of people that come up to me and say, oh, I kind of just like stopped training for a few months and I'm just kind of getting back into it again. Stop being so on and off with it all, okay? In order for this to work properly, you need to always be training. I understand there's gonna be tough weeks, busy times, but if you can still go to the gym at least twice in a week, in a bad week, that's still good. You're keeping things ticking over. But you gotta understand, if you stop training, the calorie expenditure is gonna go down massively. And if you go weeks and weeks and weeks without training, you are gonna start to lose muscle, okay? So you're gonna be shooting yourself in the foot. And the same thing goes for weekends, all right? You can't just have a really productive week, Monday to Friday, when it comes to the weekend. You go on an absolute mad one, you go on a bender, you know, drink loads of alcohol, barely sleep, and you know, the following day when you're hungover, you just have an absolute calorie fest of junk food. Then when it comes to Monday, obviously you're gonna look like a piled turd compared to how you looked on Friday. You know, I've been there before, I've been there and done it. I've tried to, you know, be so strict and religious during the week where I cut my calories back to try and make up for how bad the weekend was. But then when it came to the following weekend, I'd then have another absolute nightmare of a weekend where I either partied or I just ate junk food straight for 2 days and binged. You know, it doesn't work like that, okay? You have to try and be as consistent as you can be. If you are new to lifting weights, regardless of your age, or you are a teenager, you need to understand that if you want to get yourself to this certain, you know, level of muscle mass, you're gonna have to spend the majority of your early years of training in a surplus in order for muscle growth to occur, okay? Yes, there will be periods throughout the year where you'll maybe need to pull back your calories to maintenance levels or maybe even a little bit of a deficit, do a mini cut to try and get rid of any excess body fat that was accumulated in the process of bulking. But you don't want to be cutting for too long because you're just not gonna be growing, right? The exceptions are genetic freaks and people taking steroids, right? I have at this stage got myself to a level where I'm happy with the amount of muscle mass I have. I've been training for 11 years, okay? It's been very, very consistent. I don't want to get any bigger. I'm content with that. So the majority of the time, I'm at maintenance levels. I'm maintaining the physique which I have. There will be periods of time throughout the year where I do little mini cuts, where I bring my body fat down, you know, to look a little bit more shredded. But the majority of the time, I'm eating enough calories to maintain the amount of muscle mass which I have and want. First, you need to build up the muscle, okay? Once you've built up the muscle, it's gonna be much easier for you to lose that body fat and have that shredded look, okay? So that's a lot to take in. I have waffled on, I'm sorry about that, but hopefully you guys are a little bit more clued up on what it is you need to do. For the majority of you guys watching, fat loss, you know, kind of needs to be put on the bench for now. Your priority should be to, okay, I need to build more size, I need to build up my metabolism, I need to turn myself into a machine. Hopefully, yes, in the process of doing that, I'm gonna lose a bit of body fat, but if you wanna be shredded, you've gotta have that fast metabolism, that muscular physique in order for it to actually work properly. So give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.